Hello everyone. Welcome to the stream. Nice to see you all here. First of all, thank you RB Kitty for the for the subscription, whatever it's called in English, right? Currently my brain is just not in English mode yet. Sorry for that. So yeah, thank you, much appreciated. Thank you for the support. Welcome everyone. Welcome Kirdan and all the others who might lurk in the background. Nice to see you here. And yeah, as said, can't stress this enough. Thank you for your support. Much appreciated. Always nice seeing you active on the Discord and so on, but also here on chat and so on. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, today, as the title suggests, and the screen, we continue with Dark Souls, I think. And yeah, there was some interesting news currently, so maybe we talk a moment about that. Also, I need to check something in the background really quick. Work. Also, how are you? I'm doing well, I have to admit. Bit tired though, but I guess I hope that goes away soon. A bit late again, as always. Want to start earlier to stream, but yeah, what can I say? There are multiple things I was pondering on. First of all, my fellow YouTube content creator, YouTuber, also that mainly covers Lord of Rings on Prime, and sometimes has some exclusive rumors that he puts out, because it seems like he has some sources towards the production of the show. And according to him, maybe I can bring it up on the screen so we can discuss this for a short moment, if you don't mind, because I think it's kind of interesting, but I promise I won't talk 2 hours about it. Think I saw this news. Yes, you saw it for sure. I posted on Discord too. So it's about you remember the one screenshot for the Lord of Rings on Prime show? We just get the production right for it. What is it? Game capture? Yeah, I have window capture for it. Baby, yeah, that should work. Okay, we have it now on screen. And yeah, he basically says this dude here is either Finrod, Angrod, or Aignor. These are the 3 brothers of Galadriel, in case people wonder. And yes, sure, that would totally work, because as we see, there are the 2 trees of Valinor in the background. This here is most likely Tirion on the hill Tuna, which we see here. The tower should glow. There should be a glow there, but that's just a detail. Maybe it's out of order, I said in the analysis video. And for me, it seems a bit strange that this is one of Galadriel's brothers. It is possible, like, from the timeline and so on, totally possible. The strange thing about this, though, is why, if the show is about the Second Age, and this is the first screenshot they post to basically hype the people up for the show is coming in next year in, I don't know, September, October, I forgot the date already. And why show a character that isn't directly in the show? I find this very strange, especially if you... September, thank you, Kirdan. Especially if you have the... also, I hope that sound stuff is good. So if sound is not good, please let me know. I find it very strange that they would choose a character that is not really in the show, because in the Second Age, Finrod, Angrod, and Aignor, and neither of those are in Middle-earth. They are here in Aman still, and it would be strange if... Maybe it is possible, though. I, though, would find it very strange if it would be the case that maybe we have different perspectives, and maybe one perspective is a perspective from Valinor, or from Aman, the continent in the west, where basically the high angels or gods live. And that is pretty strange, the thought that this might be the case, but I don't know. Then in this case, the problem with this is, though, we don't know much from the perspective from Valinor. We only know the perspective from Middle-earth, basically. And pretty much everything happens in Middle-earth. I mean, in a way, you have to explain what Aman or what Valinor is, and introduce the High Angels too, because one part of this Lord of the Rings story thing is, of course, the fall of Numenor, and this is related to Numenorians trying to go to Aman, which they are not allowed to, and then it ends in disaster. But spoiler, by the way. But yeah, it's kind of interesting to see this decision. So why would Finrod be important? We know that Finrod, after his death in the First Age, he gets re-embodied and lives in Valinor, or in Aman, maybe in Tuna, because he's one of the LotR. His wife or his girlfriend, his partner, whatever you want to call it, I think they were not married. Maybe they married later. I'm not sure. Most likely they will have married at some point, even though it's not mentioned. Let me just double check the name. It should be Amarie, I think is her name. Yes, it's Amarie. Yeah, she was not allowed to leave with him and go to Middle Earth during the First Age, and she stayed there. And there is a mention in the Grey Annals in More of the Jewels. Do I have the window? I don't have it up. I mean, it probably takes a moment to read it to you. It's like a half sentence where it's mentioned in this book, but it's kind of interesting. Let me just see if I can find it really quick. Grey Annals. Somewhere I have them. Should be not too difficult to find, because her name appears like nowhere. Like, there are not that many sources for her at all. So maybe if I just search her name, I might find the passage. It says Great Annals. Okay, that's probably easier to find if I do it differently. Of course. My good old friend. Can we maybe work correctly? What is wrong with Acrobat Reader? Thank you. That is 12. Okay, maybe I search for 180. That should be easier to find. Inwe. But Felagund fought the wolf, has slewn, pushed Middle Earth, Ferris of children, and returned again, but dwells now. Here it is. So this is all we know about him and her is, King Inglor Felagund and Beren set forth with 10 companions only, and went northward, but they were waylaid by Sauron and cast into a pit in Tol in Gauerchoth. Not sure if it's pronounced like this, to be honest. There they were devoured one by wolves, but Felagund fought the wolves that was sent to devour Beren, and slew it, and was slain. Thus perished from Middle-earth the fairest of the children of Finwë, and returned never again, but dwells now in Valinor with Amarie. So that is the quote. It's in the Grey Annals. It's called paragraph or section 180 or whatever you want to call it. There's a $sign in it to mark this text passage, and it's in the Grey Annals, in case people, or Annals, or however it's pronounced. And that's all we know about him living in Valinor during the later time. I think this is the only mention in all of the books, so it's kind of strange that they would jump on something like this for the show. I mean, I assume still it's a flashback, because it is not Second Age, it's Years of the Tree, so early First Age, or maybe it's late First Age, hard to say when it is. But still, I find it very unusual that it's Finrod, because the only reason Finrod is important for the Second Age is, of course, the Ring of Barahir, which we also see in Lord of the Rings. There, the owner is Aragorn, and he wears it. Technically, in the books, he has given it to Arwen. So Arwen actually has the ring, not Aragorn, which is a wrong depiction in the films, but it makes sense. And I guess very few people noticed. I even forgot about this half sentence that he gave it to Arwen. I think when they betrothed, or however it's pronounced. Before, in where was it? Wasn't it in LotR? I think it was there. But maybe he... No, I think it was in LotR where he gave the ring. I probably would have to double check, but not that important. That's the only thing, because Finrod is the original owner of that ring, and the ring is a ring of the house of Finrod's father and Galadriel's father, the house of Finarfin. And that's the only reason I see. A second one, of course, is Galadriel might be a more important character in the show, which is kind of cool. And of course, introducing Galadriel's family a bit would also make sense. So maybe it has to do with this. Still unusual that they choose or show Finrod for the first screenshot ever published. When you ask, who's this character? You would expect that they show a character that is actually in the show, which I find kind of strange. That this is a weird decision. It's of course totally possible. It looks a bit like he has blonde hair, which would fit the Finarfin's children, I think, and same with Galadriel. Even though I'm not sure if the hair color of Finrod is actually mentioned. Maybe if we find a hint for this Finrod. Probably he was blonde too. I think in most depictions hair color golden, yeah. Maybe there's like a hint that in all the children of Finarfin, this Vanyarin strain, or whatever you want to call it, trait is present, like in Galadriel, him and his brothers. But who knows? Even though Finarfin the father was not blonde. Well, he was blonde too, right? No, I'm talking nonsense, because the strain is from Indis, right? So the father could be blonde too. I'm not sure. To be fair, I'm with the physical and with hair colors, I wouldn't say too familiar, but rarely think about it. So. But he was probably blonde too, maybe? Let me see if there's a mention for it. Yeah, golden. It seems like his hair was golden too. Suggests that this might show the crossing of Helcaraxe, which to me sounds pretty redundant without showing a lot of what is up to it, which is just too much for a series focusing on the second age. Unless they deliver the first 2 episodes as separate thing. Yeah, I agree on this. I also don't see the crossing of Helcaraxe here in this context, because this, in my opinion, makes no sense. Maybe just show that the elves, like, compress this to like a minimum. Say, here are the elves, here are Galadriel and his brother, here's Galadriel and her brothers, and they cross over to Middle-earth, over Helcaraxe, and this crazy Fëanor dude burned the ships. And that's by accident the grandfather, in some versions at least, of Celebrimbor, who plays a larger role in the second age, of course. But it's, to me, really strange that they do this. Like, it is really strange. Because Helcaraxe, you would need to explain Turgon. You would need to explain, not named or anything. Imagine then showing Finrod in the same way Gil-galad shows up in the trilogy, not named or anything. Yeah, maybe. Maybe it's just for the fans to know, oh, that's Finrod, cool. Maybe they do it like this. He also mentions like a scene, Galadriel and an elven company will travel across a vast plain and climb mountains in episode 1 until they visit a cave and encounter a cave troll, which he has posted here. It doesn't look too great though. You always have to see stuff in motion for it to really shine. It's kind of interesting, but why would they cave troll? Which mountains did Galadriel climb? Blue Mountains? Maybe? It's really hard to say. Just trying to piece things together. So yeah, but I agree with your point of Helcaraxe. Like, then you have also to explain Fingolfin and so on. Too many names that are not related in too many ways to the second age appear. Like, the second age in of itself is fairly complicated, and a show like this needs many characters. Adding characters that are already dead, at least on Middle Earth, seems to be, not too helpful. Like, of course, can explain like a basic outline, but it's strange. The mountains, if I think about mountains, they could climb maybe the Blue Mountains, because her husband Galadriel and her husband Celeborn leave the first age early and go past the Blue Mountains at some point. Where they go exactly, we don't know. Maybe it's them crossing the Blue Mountains, even though it would not be necessary. I don't have the maps here in this scene, so I can't show you the maps. How could I do this, chat? Easiest way would be... we need a map. I need a map I'm also allowed to use. Don't want to get any trouble with maps here, so... give me a moment. We have the map of my trusty moderator Kirdan. Much shoutouts to you, man. Really awesome having those maps, even though, of course, the original maps are done by Amazon, but I guess they don't mind talking about their stuff. Maps. What I will do next, let me see. I think I use advanced trickery. That's what it's called, what I'm doing. Maps. Made in like a nice window here. First age, no text. We take first age with text. Something like this. Oh, this thing does not want to load in a browser window. I mean, it's 20 megabytes or so. It's quite huge. You can't see it yet. I will have to do production in a moment. Let me see. Okay. Do it like this. So this is the first age map. Oh, that should work. Okay. So these are the Blue Mountains. They look different later in the second age, and they leave Dorias or something. And my assumption would be, because this land here still is relatively safe later in the first age, they just go here and cross the mountains here. So they don't need to climb. There's a path between them that leads, I assume, through this. I never got the impression that when the people, the early men, they also came to this region here, when they came from, I don't know where exactly, but came from down here, that they definitely walked this path here, because here, what is the names? Yeah, it's I think it's called Sarn Athrat, right? Or San Gebir. Maybe it's the same name. Yeah, but there's a delta. I think it's called Arthat. Athrat. Sarn Athrat. And yeah, whatever. They crossed it here. There's a thing where some men in the house of Hales got attacked here, and then Caranthia came down here, noticed that there was orc activity. They were basically pushed here in this delta, or whatever we want to call this little thing here, and defended for several days. Then the elves came, killed the orcs, and were very thankful, and then they moved on. Yes, it's Arthrat. Okay, nice. Yeah, because I think the Galleon is later called Arthrat, maybe. You just double check. Oh no, doesn't load. Maybe I'm wrong. Nope. I don't know. It should not. That's not the case. I think maybe the Askar changed the name. I spelled Askar wrong. No, I don't know why it's called like that. But like there was like a hint somewhere that explains why it has this particular name. Board of Stones, it simply means okay. No, okay, whatever. Complicated story. It's it's still very interesting to see. Let me switch back to the actual news here. Enough map time. Wait. So yeah, it's still strange. It would be, maybe it's not true what he says. Maybe his source is wrong. I don't know how good his sources are. We will see when the show comes out. I still find it strange, though my theory that it is not a female, it is a male and holding a weapon makes sense, I guess. Why is he watching at Tyrion, the city here in the background, though? This screenshot. That's an interesting question, in my opinion, too, because simply because how to explain it? One could say his lover Amaria is in the city, but she is not. As said, this is most likely late years of the trees. As a result, her Amaria is a Vanyar elf, and I assume she's with the Vanyar, and the Vanyar should be here at this mountain at the foot of Taniquity, the highest mountain, to be closer to the Valar and so on. I think they've moved around on the other side. I don't know exactly where they are on Aman. Complicated story. But they are not. They leave at some point. They leave Tyrion, the city, and live somewhere else. So she's not here. And I think, if I'm not totally mistaken, this happens quite early on that they leave Tyrion. I assume. I don't know, chat. Does somebody know in chat? Maybe Kirdan. Because I remember that in some version, Finwë. What was the question? When do the Vanyar leave Tyrion? Because I remember in some version that Finwë, after Fëanor was born and he lost his wife, he was looking for basically a new wife, and he went to Ingwe. I'm not sure where it's mentioned though. Could be even could be laws and customs or something like this. There's a section about Finwë marrying Indis and his first wife died and so on. Didn't they miss seeing the stars? Yeah, exactly. That was also, I guess, a reason. And he went, I think, up this mountain, and there he saw his future wife Indis, and they fell in love. I remember that. And as a result, this must have been before Fingolfin and Finarfin were born, because he saw his future wife there. So that would mean they left quite early. But maybe this is not canon and it's an early version, or I'm totally wrong. Possible too. But I think it was a quite early move. Maybe we can find this out. It's not mentioned here when it was. It doesn't say the date. Maybe there is no date for it. Don't remember seeing a date. Yeah, me neither. Could be some weird date somewhere in the history of Middle-earth books. I'm not sure when this was. I'm curious though when they left. But it's probably hard to find. Okay, according to Tolkien Gateway, it's Second Age 1165. Second Age, what am I talking? Years of the Trees 1165. So that is, yeah, far. It seems like I'm right because Fingolfin is born. What is it? 25 Valiant years later. So let's not talk about this. When it is exactly. I was about to say Second Age. No, I just misspoke there. Years of the trees. I'm just confused by all the numbers. There's sadly no oh wait, if I click on it, maybe they have a part. Morgoth's Ring, the Annals of Aman, 77. Let's double check the source here. I mean, now we have a little Tolkien Lore stream here. Might be interesting for some people. I think that's a stupid idea. Oh, is it? Yeah. It is correct. 1165. It is in the note $77, paragraph 77, whatever you call it. And it says, in this year, the last of the Vanyar departed from Tirion. So maybe they started earlier to depart from Tirion, but in this year, the last of them departed from Tirion, and the Noldor dwelt there alone, and their converse and friendship thereafter was rather with the Teleri. So, yeah, quite interesting in my opinion. So, just for comparison, for people maybe wondering, I mean, let's compare this. This was far before Galadriel was even born. Like her grandparents. This was at a time Galadriel's grandparents were not married yet. So Galadriel is born Years of the Trees 1365. So round about 200 Valiant years later. Depending on your calculation, 1 Valiant year are 10 solar years or 140, roundabout, or 144. So it's 2000 years before the birth of Galadriel we are talking about, or the other 28,800 years before she was born, depending on the version. Kind of interesting, isn't it? So this is very early in the age. Still very fascinating. But the date is correct on Tolkien Gateway, can confirm. Still, yeah, it's a very strange news in my opinion, I have to admit. And I have to say the CGI here doesn't look too great, to be honest. Like, this looks somewhat fake. Like, even this skeleton, the skull here, looks a bit, I don't know. I mean, the face, maybe it's a placeholder, maybe it's not final edit. Maybe he pulled the... Oh, this pic isn't from the series. Maybe, is it from Lord of the Rings? But I don't remember him having a stone like this. Where's this image from then? The foot looks very wrong. Maybe it's just him posting the stuff here. Ah, a game. Yeah, you could be right. It could be from a game. Totally forgot about this. Yeah, people asking for the source here. Here's some maybe insider information. We will see when the series comes out how correct this is. But so far he's a cool dude. Like I think I was a guest on Nerd of the Rings stream one time with him. We talked about another interesting topic, that is the War of the Rohirrim anime, which there will be an anime film about Helm Hammerhand and so on. So very curious about that. There's a thing I noticed recently, and I thought about this, and now I can't remember what it was, so now I have to find it. It'd be pretty difficult to find, I'm not gonna lie. I looked up an anime thing, because I thought about today, if this other series comes out, I would be very curious. I would love for it to have like an old school art style, like from the 80s or 90s or something like this. And I'm still thinking it would be pretty awesome, though we might not get it. And what can I say? I stumbled upon a weird thing somewhere in the past, and I was really surprised by it. It was like a cartoon or maybe an anime, and I thought, yeah, now that I think about it, it's maybe from the 70s, maybe even early 70s. And then I looked it up, and it's even from the late 60s, which I was really surprised by. And now I can't remember what it was. Really strange, but I would love to know. Now looking my search history and hope that I find a clue, but I can't find anything. So I know that, for example, Lupin the Third is also from the late 60s, or maybe early 70s. It's very old. And I thought, oh, that is a companion of Lupin, now that I think about it. I can't remember what show it was. I was just surprised it was that old. I mean, there can't be that many anime or cartoon series that were created in the late 60s. Sure, there are some, but not that many compared to today. The worst part might be, though, that it's that I looked it on my phone, not on my computer. It's not in this history here. I'm just very curious today what it could be. What? No, that was not it. Maybe I got the date wrong. It's 1967 or something like this. Oh, I see it now. Yeah. Found it. First try. It's from 1967. I found it. That is a thing I wanted to look more a bit into. Maybe somebody can guess it. Maybe you know old cartoon shows that also ran in US TV that were produced in Japan, though. Kimber the White Line. Might be, I don't know that one. I can give you a hint. Kimber. No. It has to do with cars. Speed Racer. RV Kitty on point. Yeah, it's Speed Racer. I knew. I know. I watched the anime series. Wow, I can't even talk correctly anymore. Anime series, or cartoon show back in the day. I was not aware that it's originally from Japan, and that there's even a manga for it. So it never came to my mind. But now that I got older and a bit more familiar with different animation styles, I noticed that I noticed then retrospectively that the style is the style of very early 70 anime. It often looked like that. Wait, can I get this up on screen? Yes, I think it would be possible if I find the other window again. Maybe we can have like a nice Google search. Like it has a very distinctive style that the 70s had. And the late 60s, it seems. Let me just pull Google search it really quick. That's probably the easiest way to give you like an overview of what I'm talking about. Like this is Speed Race. I also watched it. Like sometimes we had these. There was also one called Marine Boy. I don't remember that, but it's pretty awesome that you watched this as a kid. I also watched it as a kid. I don't know where it ran. It was of course a rerun. Probably the millions of it, somewhere in German free TV. And I know that there was like every Saturday morning you got up and then watched cartoons all morning. And it was one of the cartoons. I found it was very unusual in a way, but yeah, kind of interesting. Now, thinking about it, oh, Papa Stalin's here, welcome. We talk about weird anime from the late 60s for whatever reason. But yeah, you can see it has this distinct style, which is kind of cool, in my opinion. And I thinking about it, I thought, yeah, that could be totally early 70s or something of it. UHF TV. I'm not sure where it was. Wait, maybe I can find that out too. Is there there's a German page? Maybe it can tell you where it. In German, it started running in 71, so a little bit later. Okay, here we have 72. I did not see it in 72. Okay, here we have it. October 1993 to April 1994. It was RTL. Oh. Unfortunate. Not the hugest fan of this news station, but back in the day they all showed a lot of cartoons too. Like every free TV thing at Saturday morning, there was a lot of cool stuff, like, I don't know, Batman, Ghostbusters, and stuff like that. Yeah, the movement scenes were kind of iffy. Of course they were. It's like consider how old this is, like in comparison to a lot of other stuff. It's really impressive. If we, for example, look at, I'm not sure from when the cartoon show is, but if we look Lupin the Third, also 67. Like this is from the same style. If you look at the style, of course the style of it is different if you compare this to here to Lupin, but also, why doesn't it work anymore? No, but it seems like the shows are, or these Yeah, they are from the same year. It's kind of interesting. You have to be careful with Lupin the Third, though. There's some nudity in it and so on. Don't want to get trouble with it, but it's yeah, kind of interesting to see that this is also very old. Like, I'm a bit surprised by it that it's this old. Like late 60s is really, really interesting. Oh, how was it called in the US though? There's another one. I think it's also from this time. Oh wow, that is the original name. I did not know this. In German, it's called told completely differently. Does anybody know Attack Number 1? It's from. Oh, move my head a bit to read it. Really interesting. Also watched that when I was in the mid 90s, even though it's from the 60s, I think. Let me see. First of all, we switch here. I just want to make sure we're not weird stuff. We're still talking about the internet. What is going on here? It's a volleyball anime. Kind of interesting. And yeah, now thinking retrospectively about it, it also looks quite old. I'm not sure how it was called, but yeah, I remember this. I also later watched this, and it's kind of interesting how drawing styles changed a lot. And yeah, that is, however, long story short, the Lord of the Rings series would be cool if. What is a good anime from the 80s? I have to be careful with that one. I like it a lot. I should also spell it right. It's late 80s though, but the classic good old City Hunter. You have to be careful with City Hunter a lot though. Even though it was never very explicit when it comes to this, but of course, yeah, it's City Hunter, I guess. I mean, we could also I really like this late 80s style. I mean, of course, there is Akira. Oh, but Akira, of course, is... Oh, the date is wrong. Akira is from 88, I think, right? Yeah. Oh, Akira is so great. It's also highly disturbing, so I just move it around. But yeah, it's pretty great. And then we have later Ghost in the Shell and so on. Even though Ghost in the Shell from 1995 is a really special one. Too many explicit scenes, have to be careful with that stuff. But yeah, it's I would really like to have if the what's it called? Maybe there are some. I can't imagine that there's. No, there's basically nothing. We only have a logo for it. Of the Rohirrim. Pretty curious what they do there. Oh, late 90s. Oh, I can maybe show that record. Let me see if there's some. I know there's one nude scene. You see nipples one time in record of LotR's War. I have to be careful here too. We're still on Twitch, I guess. But yeah, it's really interesting to see. This is the anime series, the OVA, that is from the... Wait. It's from early 90s. I seen 91, 92, or maybe 1990, something like this. But it's highly inspired by Lord of the Rings. I think one of the dwarves is called Gimlin or something like this. But yeah, it was pretty awesome. One of my first anime I ever watched. And I don't know, it has this very distinct art style sometimes. Sometimes it's really cheesy and there are a lot of freeze frames and so on. But I don't know, there's some cool stuff in it too. Pretty nice. But yeah, too much anime talk, I guess. I'm just curious how it will look. And today I thought about it, and then I came up, what was this anime? I was surprised that it's from the 60s. So yeah, sometimes thinking about weird stuff and then being a bit absorbed in thought. So now I could refresh my memory again. Let me see. There's some interesting scenes. Oh, that's so brutal. But yeah, I don't know. It had this very... It's hard to describe the art style of it. Something like this. This is the dwarf. And so on. This dude here. What was his name? Belt, I think. And so on. Pretty cool stuff. But yeah, enough anime talk. I'm just very curious how the stuff will look when it comes finally out. So yeah, a lot of interesting Lord of the Rings stuff is coming up, and might be interesting to see. I'm also very curious that another Lord of the Rings animated film is coming out. That's like the Hobbit film made by the predecessors of Studio Ghibli was also kind of cool. And yeah, this is also kind of interesting, I have to admit.